space. Some regions are vast and empty, other areas we call closets. Fortunately, Kevin from the Container Store has answers.
Right.
Kevin, what gives you the power over space?
I'd say Elfa customizable closets. With free design and Elfa's adjustable shelving and drawers, I can create space in any size closet.
Kevin, master of space and closets.
Or just Kevin. Plus, you can save 30% on Elfa and professional installation.
At the Container Store, where space comes from.
Where is that music coming from?
Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show on Blog Talk Radio with me, Astrologer Shelley Overton. Each week, we go over the planetary positions, discuss astrology, and take callers' questions. If you would like to call in and get a reading, you can call 347-994-3365. Call in early as the lines fill up. Hello, and welcome to the December 28th, 2018 AstroEnergy Astrology Show. My name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and I want to welcome you to the show. I have chosen this show to begin our journey through 2019. So what that means is I have been researching the year, going through my 2019 planner and picking out different things to talk about. But what I really want to do today is go over the first 6 signs of the zodiac, because generally everybody wants to know what's going to happen in the year for their sign. So I'm going to share the first 6 signs this week and the last signs. So that would be Aries through Virgo this week, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo. And next week will be Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And I'm probably going to tell you a little bit about the year before we get going, and I will wrap it all up and probably go over the hour if it gets pretty wordy. We're not taking callers today because it's just going to be too much information, and it's just a lot to talk about, and I'm honestly paring it down a bit. So we'll see. If I go through all the signs and feel that there's more that I should be chatting about, then I'll go back over it at the end of this session, and then the next show, like I said, we'll cover the second half of the zodiac. And probably throughout both shows, I'm going to pepper information about what's happening in the year, because it's really interesting. And actually, I think I'll start out with that really quickly now, because what I did is I took my daily planetary guide. It's Llewellyn's 2019 Daily Planetary Guide, and I love this. I talk about it all the time. It is a very thorough book on what's going on in the year. It's spiral bound, so you can open it flat. It gives you all the days of the year like a calendar. You can write in it whatever's going on for you. It's not sponsored. Anyway, right before the show, a couple hours ago, I went through the whole book and I highlighted all the information in the tables in the back, and I broke it down with highlighter colors based on the elements. So earth, fire, water, and air. And that helps me as a visual learner and a visual person, being the artist that I am, really see in a glance, which is what I love about this planner, is that you can look at it in a glance and see when planets are retrograde. You can see, now that I've highlighted the colors, I can see what's going on with the elements in the year. And I found it really interesting that the beginning of the year is really based on fire, water, and a little bit of earth. So actually a little bit of water and a bit of earth and a lot of fire. And then it gradually transitions over the year to more earth, more and more earth towards the end of the year. But the other thing that I really noticed in going through week by week and day by day, highlighting all the different aspects, is that towards the end of the year, there were relatively few difficult aspects. And it was mostly a lot of positivity from the last quarter of the year, so October through December. There were a few things, a little bit of friction here and there, but almost all the pages were mostly green, and green is my color that I use to highlight for things that are more cooperative and not as friction-based or stressful. But the middle of the year is probably going to be, well, the beginning and the middle, because the beginning this year actually starts with the eclipses. So they're going to start earlier. Last year they were in the middle of the year. This year they're in the beginning, starting with the solar eclipse on January 5th in Capricorn new moon, and of course Sun in Capricorn. So that's going to be really interesting. And the very next day, on the 6th, Uranus goes direct. So this is such a big New Year's energy for me. And again, Mars goes into Aries the last day of the year, so December 31st at 9:20 p.m., 6:20 Pacific. And then within a week, we've got this solar eclipse followed by Uranus going direct. So like I said in the last couple shows, you're going to want to hold off on your resolutions. And I heard someone else talk about making intentions. That actually sounds like a really great idea. So you intend to make things happen. But anyway, yeah, this is going to be a really strong year of shifts and changes, awakening, awareness, and towards the end of the year, we're going to be much more about structures and tangibles. So it's going to be really interesting. I think that it's going to start out a little more chaotic, kind of like this year has been. And then as the year goes on, it's going to somewhat even out. And towards the end of the year, it's going to be more grounded and less kind of flying away with the energies, so to speak. So anyway, I'm going to tell you also, because this is the last show and I haven't really talked about what's going on this particular week, I'm going to give you a quick update on what's going on this week, which is probably why we're going to run a little long at the end, and we'll see what goes on. If you can hear me, just so you know, there is a chat room open. You can go over to the chat room and chit-chat with me there. Hopefully you can hear me, and everything is fine this show, so we'll see how it goes. But let's see, here we are. Today is a different day than I normally give the show because, of course, Christmas fell on a Tuesday, but I didn't want to bypass doing the show. And just a real quick aside, too, I had an accident last week. I kind of sprained my toe, and so foot issues, not surprisingly, are happening right now with Neptune in Pisces. And we've got Mercury in Sagittarius, which was squaring Neptune. So that hit me kind of hard because my foot's honestly been swollen and bruised since Christmas Eve, which kind of sucks, but it's getting better. I actually went for a walk today, and I have been limping quite a bit, but just be careful when you have Sagittarius energy and it's squaring Pisces or squaring Virgo, or Mercury is involved. You have a stronger potential for accidents. Okay, so let me just look real quick here. So it's been kind of a practical week starting out. I'm looking, starting out, when I say starting out, I'm talking about from Tuesday on, because that's usually when my show is. So Wednesday we had trine with the moon and the sun, which is not too bad. That's actually more cooperative, but it's in earth signs. So the earth signs are bringing more pragmatism. Moon was in Virgo. Let's see, where's the moon today? I honestly don't even know. Friday, Virgo enters Libra at 3:23 p.m. So we're at the last degrees of Virgo, and the moon in conjunct Uranus and Aries right before the moon enters Libra, and directly after Venus sextiles Pluto which means that there is more cooperation around commitment and money. Of course, Pluto and Capricorn makes things a little bit chilly when it comes to money. Any of the earth signs can cool down finances, but having Scorpio there, Scorpio rules value and joint finances, and Pluto in Capricorn, so okay, of course Pluto rules Scorpio. Venus in Scorpio answers to Pluto, and today she is going to be sextile, which is the most positive aspect in my opinion, and so she's going to really embrace the energy of structuring commitments and having the deeper psychic side of life come out into more of a tangible means. And I wish I could think of an example of that, but just know Venus in Scorpio, she's really in her emotional life in intensity and wants things to be very much decisive and look at the value. Is it valuable? Is it not valuable? And when you decide what's valuable, you run with it, and that makes things really tangible. That can bring about what you want. It's a great manifestation energy. Venus is the planet of desire, and right now literally the moon is, I take it back, that's January 1st. So January 1st the moon is right on Venus, and so that'll be really a wonderful energy to connect to people, and desires will be more in depth, and of course you're going to connect on a more psychic level, and commitments will be honored that day, and home and family. So it's probably going to be a really good day to just hang out in the home and be where you want to be and really protect yourself, which is always what Cancer / the moon are looking for, is that security, that emotional safety. And that's going to be really important on New Year's Day. So let's see, what else do we have here? I've got a positive business day written in for this day of the year. And again, I take the planners, and at the beginning of the year, I go through the whole thing and I make notes. And that is a note from January of this year. And it says it's going to be a positive business day. So that's a good thing. And that's probably because of that sextile cooperation. Mars is in Pisces, joined with Chiron today. So that is a little bit more sensitive energy. It can mean that you are triggered through emotional means, through psychic means, and also your artwork, things that you use to express a more beautiful side of life, a spiritual side, can make you more sensitive, or you can have someone potentially hurt your feelings through something that you've done. Anyway, so I've just been told that I can be heard just fine. Thank you very much, Karen. I appreciate that. And I'm just looking out. Okay, so Monday, New Year's Eve, is going to be a really strong energy around men and male energy, of course, because Mars enters Aries. So on one end of Aries, we have Uranus exiting, and on the other end, Mars is entering. So I see this as kind of storyline culmination of the energy of men and what they do to express themselves in society has been challenged with Uranus. Uranus brings out truth and clarity, and Uranus spent the last 8 years going through Aries. So now Uranus is at the end degrees and about to move into Taurus and really expressing more of a feminine energy. So as Uranus, also about power and control, not even control as much as like Saturn might be about control, or even Pluto, but it's more about personal power and freedom. So it is a push to feel that freedom, to be assertive within yourself. Mars coming into Aries also is highlighting that energy. And for the month after that, will be expressing through that Aries energy. So it's going to be a really strong start to the year with the male assertiveness, and also trying to understand how to have personal power entering a time of feminine energy. And that's definitely where we're going with Uranus entering Taurus. And we can see that all over the place anyway in what's been going on over the last year. So anyway, I think that's pretty much the culmination of what I want to say about that. We're going to have another show next week. I'll talk a little bit more about the first week of January then, but I want to get to what I have for all the signs before I run out of time. So Aries, like I just said, Aries is kind of going to start the year with a bang. We've got this energy of Mars coming in. And so it's going to be, hey, I'm right here. I'm on my game. I'm in my path. It's going to be a really big starting point of sales for the year. I think that we're going to have incredible amounts of sales. And I don't know about you, but definitely there was a certain amount of returned items last year. I even heard that there were millions of dollars of returned items from Amazon and other big box stores after that Black Friday. So that was the Mercury retrograde, I believe. And, Uranus also goes direct. So that's also a technology energy. If you've got tech items, I would honestly wait until after the first of the year to return them, or you may end up, if you're going to exchange them, you may end up just getting something that doesn't work also. But Aries, ruled by Mars, is really, really in pure energy. And interestingly, Aries, I consider to be the first sign of the zodiac, and to me, the beginning of the astrological year. And having the beginning of the calendar year start with Mars in Aries is going to be a really big year for Aries people. You're going to have this strong energy start the year, and unfortunately, part of your challenge is going to be coming down off of your initiating high, so to speak, because Aries is a cardinal sign, and that means that it comes into something and just immediately wants to get things going, immediately starts something new. And that's really the energy of our next year for everyone. But specifically for Aries, you're going to, come out of the gate really hard and heavy January 1st. But Mars will go through the first half of the zodiac over the course of this year. So it's going to be a very interpersonal year. It's more about how you interact with other people individually as opposed to a collective, and as opposed to getting the spotlight. That being said, you do have a lot of planets in the apex, or the top part of your chart, in Capricorn, and also Jupiter, Mercury will be beginning the year up at the top of the sky in your chart. So midheaven, which means roughly where the sun is at noon, but that doesn't mean that that's necessarily what it looks like for you depending on the time of birth. It just means that when you look at Aries on the horizon as an initiating energy for that time, so either Aries sun or Aries rising, Capricorn and Sagittarius are at your midheaven, which means you have a very strong affinity for structure in career and the rules, and really kind of enforcing the rules, interestingly, because Aries is the sign of emergency workers and police and those who really do police what's going on with the rules and the law. And Capricorn at midheaven for Aries means that career is important and the structure of things is important, the rule of things, the literal tangible pragmatism of your career is very important. You've been going through this really strong shift around belief systems and belief in the overriding system. Do you have a belief in it still? And that belief has been challenged since Pluto went into Capricorn in 2007. So currently we have Saturn at 11 degrees Capricorn, and the sun will be in Capricorn on New Year's Day for you, joining Saturn. So it is a year of career and career shifts and owning your own career and what you put into it. Those are your challenges that you're having to not point fingers at others anymore. And that's really what the Capricorn energy is for everyone. Is we're not supposed to be pointing fingers outside of ourselves, because it really is just a reflection back on us. We are supposed to be shoring up our own structure, our own system within our lives and our belief systems, and that will make us more in alignment with our true path in this life and our true path this year. So for you, a ton of energy is going to be going into your house of career this year. So Jupiter will still be in growth and learning and spiritual in your chart, but Mercury goes into Capricorn fairly soon in the year, and that adds to all the other energies in Capricorn: Sun, Saturn, Pluto and the South Node. So you're going to be fully aware of the systems, and it's just where the energy is very strong in your chart for the beginning of the year. And like I said, Mars goes all the way through the lower half of your chart, so it's going to trigger money. Just suppose that every 2 months Mars changes in sign as a general rule. And so 2 months from now, you're going to have Mars in Taurus and then Mars in Gemini throughout the whole year. So it'll just go on through each of the signs. So about summer, Mars will be in Cancer, and then home life will be important. And then you may have some issues with triggering family versus career. And then it's going to be a little bit more of a stress point for you as far as taking action. And also Cancer squares your Sun and your Mars as the year begins. And so it's going to be more about, am I getting my sense of safety and security taken care of and my needs met in the home life? And your energy will be put there. Money's going to come in a couple months. So you'll see coming into March, money is going to be right in your lap because Mars, of course, will be in Taurus. Uranus moves into Taurus March 7th. So that's going to be a really big shift for you. And it could also mean a shift to working for yourself or having other means of income coming from sources that are unusual or eclectic and not necessarily the structure you're used to, because that's all the Capricorn energy. And by the end of the year, Jupiter goes into Capricorn, and then that will make a lot more energy around freedom and not wanting to listen to the authority, but believing that you have more authority within your life. And honestly, more self-interest in getting your needs met in the workplace, in the career. Also, the year you're wrapping up some issues around money and joint finances, and you've got the Moon and Venus conjunction in your 8th house of money, joint finances, and commitment. So there could be some glitches or things shifting around how that family finances are being connected and made, how you're handling the banking, the financing, the investments, etc. And so so all the fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, are going to be feeling certain trigger points this year. And trigger point seems to be, or the word trigger seems to be a big word coming into the vernacular society this year. But the trigger point just means that these are things that are going to make you sit up and take notice. And January 13th is the first square between Jupiter in Sagittarius and Neptune in Pisces. So Jupiter, again, Sagittarius and Pisces are signs that are about spirituality and belief systems. They're about religion and wisdom and understanding what comes in from a higher source or higher understanding. So that's going to be a friction point this year for everyone, but specifically for fire signs and also water signs, because the connection to Sagittarius and Pisces. So those of you with middle degrees, so those are the ones that are born closer to like the 7th through the 10th of the month, are going to feel this more as a direct hit on your sun sign in some way. And the fire signs, because the trine of fire to fire is going to definitely trigger your sun as this aspect happens. So, that sense of freedom and need to be active and taking action on something is going to be curtailed by the emotional connection on some large scale. So that can mean family life might be up in arms, or your belief systems, because specifically for Aries, Pisces falls in your 12th house. So it's the sentimental side of you. It's the side that deals with the ending of something. And it's always in everyone's chart, the 12th house is the ending house. And so having Neptune there squaring Jupiter, it's the end of a belief system. It's the end of a higher understanding of something, or what you thought to be a higher understanding, and is now shifting and changing to something new and different. And as that square, there will be 3 squares. So it's an initiating square, a review square, and then a culmination or transmutation square, which means that it starts out, it initiates this energy on January 13th. You'll feel this strong emotional something happen. You'll end up using that energy and what happened with that event to review it come the middle of June, June 16th, when that square reperfects again. And then it goes, and the reason that this happens is because Jupiter will retrograde, Neptune will retrograde eventually in the year, and so they touch, they go forward, one goes back, they retouch, and then they go forward and back, and then they hit again the final time. And that will happen in September of this year. So September 21st is the final connection between the square. And so you will feel that. You'll feel that shift and change of your spiritual systems. You could potentially end up with a change in school or education. You may want to go to school, or there could be some friction going on with your schooling. So you'll see that hitting your chart. Let's see. Then the Mars-Uranus conjunction and shift in mid-February. It's the 13th of February, right before Valentine's Day. It's going to shift old ideas of manliness and your personal power, which is Uranus. Uranus wants to change it up, shift things, make you more aware of what's going on. I do see that that's probably going to be a very strong point in society around what's going on with the Me Too movement, with how women are treated, and the collective consciousness around allowing men to be men in all types and forms. And of course, Uranus rules the LGBTQ community, so you could also see something going on with that in mid-February. Okay, that's Aries, and I'm going to click off of my Aries chart because otherwise I'm going to get confused. So now we move on to Taurus, and Taurians is also a big year for you. It's really kind of a big year for everybody as far as growth and moving forward and challenging old belief systems, because that's all the Capricorn energy. It's all authority challenges, et cetera, et cetera. But because a lot of the outer planets have squares to shifting other outer planets into signs such as Uranus or Jupiter, we're seeing a different shift in dynamics energetically. And, it can go from one sign to another or an element to another. So an earth to a water or whatever it is, earth to air to water. We'll see that shift. So Uranus is moving from fire into earth. And Jupiter just went in I want to say November, went direct for the final time in Scorpio, and then moved into Sagittarius, so moved from water to fire. And so we've got these energies all connecting back and forth over the course of the year, and it's intense. And, we have this probably, I would say, every 15 to 30 years, we're having these intense cycles, but definitely around 30, we get it because it's a Saturn cycle. So anyway, Taurus, your focus is growth around restriction and restricted, if I can get it out, restricted religious views and literal belief systems, taking on too much responsibility for saving others and focusing on yourself and being rigid. And this is a spiritual shift for you. All of the Capricorn that's been going on in the sky is in trine to the Earth planets, so the Earth signs. So that's Taurus and Virgo. Uranus, of course, starts the year in Aries, and we'll get into Taurus in March. So the beginning of the year, you are really wrapping up, like I said, all those ideas around what is it to be driven? What is it to have a focus of drive and masculine energy and assertiveness? Where are you putting that? That's your psyche. That's your subconscious. Like, there is always the subconscious that's going on when we're on the earth plane, and the 12th house is it, like I said before, and Aries is in the 12th house for our Taurus friends. And so you're wrapping up this need to have independence and drive, but it's around those higher connected ideas, the esoteric side of life. So you may have felt in the last, like I said, half a decade and, 5 to 7 years, that it's just really been an energy of wanting to bring out your understanding of things in a physical sense. So you translate that psychic energy into physical energy, and you want to move quickly. Like Uranus is a fast thinking sign in a fast moving, it's a fast moving planet mentally in a fast moving sign physically, which is Aries. So you've got quick thought, wanting to take quick action, but it's in the 12th house, which doesn't necessarily allow you that because it answers to Pisces in that house. And Pisces is always getting bogged down with the emotionalism of things. So Aries and Pisces and Uranus are all about clarity of understanding, channeling information, and then having a drive to move forward with what you know. That is shifting from that deep emotional, fiery, subconscious steam. It's like steam, the fire and water. And it's going to be breaking out into Taurus, your first house, shifting you greatly into air and earth, which will bring a better sense of clarity around groundedness and knowing where things are going. You're going to have much more clarity about who you are as a person, and that's going to happen in March for you. And then your transformation is the value you have for yourself. Do you have a clear sense of value? Are you giving away who you are to keep the peace, or are you saying, yes, I'll do that when you really don't want to do that? And so you're going to be feeling a stronger sense of self this year. It's going to be freeing. There's going to be more lightness in your being, and that is Uranus is much more clear-minded and free from constraints. When we get to the middle part of the year, there may be more water energy coming in that can bog you down. Let me just do a quick look here in my actually, the early part of the year is going to be a little bit more balanced, with the middle of the year more fiery and moving into water and earth towards the end of the year. So you're going to have more of that groundedness, and it'll be, unfortunately, water and earth are mud feeling, but it also plants seeds of growth. And so that is a big part of your year. It's a growth of self, growth of money, growth in your sense of value, a growth around entrepreneurial endeavors if you so choose. Taurus rules retail. Uranus rules entrepreneurship. You can definitely find more of that. Opportunities around growing a business. And growth is a huge word for you this year. All the earth energy, Uranus and Taurus, and then Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn, and especially until Aquarius time, which is the end of January, around the 23rd, you're going to have a lot of that shoring up structures. And I just flashed on this farm down the road. It's a man who took this piece of property, a couple acres, and built all these vertical poles, and they have pots in them. And then he planted strawberries, and now he has a strawberry farm vertically. And I would say it's hydroponic. I'm guessing it's probably hydroponic because it's got pipes going into it. So that is the imagery I see for Taurus, is that you're doing something entrepreneurial, you're building something and growing something. So it's going to be a really great time for you this year to do all of those. Jupiter in Sagittarius for Taurus is in your house of commitment, in your 8th house, which is ruled by Scorpio, in the sign of Sagittarius. So you're looking to speak your truth within relationships and about money, and you don't want to be bogged down by money. I can tell you Jupiter in Sagittarius is very free with money as a general rule. In the house of joint finances, you may find more stress around that this year. So joint finances, let me see where the Pisces falls. So Pisces falls for you in the house of networking and soul groups. So it's the 11th house. And it's also, it can be friendships, it can be career friends, or anybody who helps you in your career that's a soul match or a peer. That is going to be a challenge for your marriage or your finances, that there may be a draw to some deeper connection to a greater meaning or purpose with people that you hang out with, at odds with what's going on with the commitment to a marriage or partnership, and it's going to be challenged when we have the square between Jupiter and Neptune this year. Again, those dates are initiating January 13th, review the 16th of June, and September 21st when you culminate that whole story and you wrap it up. And we'll talk about that through the course of the year in the show as well. So let's see. What else do I have for Taurus, if I can tell you? Belief systems are definitely going to be challenged this year. And look for Venus transits and what Venus is going to do. And I'm just going to look it up here for you real quick and tell you where Venus is over the course of the year, because that's your ruling planet. So Venus starts with Scorpio and degrees, wrapping up an old story around love, going into Sagittarius. In January, she'll be traveling and moving and being more stable throughout February. You're going to be more unique, looking for unusual friendships and activities in March. And Pisces in April, so kind of going down, being a little bit under the radar for most of April, and then going into Aries through the end of April into May. And so that will be a really strong drive for you to take action and do selling of items or buying of items. Action and emergencies can emerge, and a much more active time for you. And then psychically, also connected. And then you go into Taurus the end of May, so great growing time, the beginning of spring there. And then Gemini, chatty, talking, making money, making connections throughout June, and July will be home again, and also communicating to family members, siblings, and parents, or mother in particular. Then we have Leo in August and going into Virgo, so that's going to be home life as far as Leo is concerned, so more about children, and then education and creativity. August, September is Virgo, again, more education and growth around understanding your health or giving more information to other people. And health of your children is also triggered in your chart. And then we've got Libra, Venus. So that can be a little bit uncomfortable for Taurus, because Taurus is in conjunct 150 degrees away from Libra. So while they are ruled by the same planet, they are two different energies. One's air, one's earth, and do not necessarily approach love and money from the same angle. So there's going to be a shift in the work energy going on around September into October. Scorpio is marriage in October, late October. That's going to be in opposition to your sun, but that can also mean that you're going to be in joint cooperation, but there can be some issues regarding that Uranus and near your sun, and that can be an opposition of ideology. You're wanting more freedom and you don't want to be bogged down by that commitment right around that time. And then Sagittarius is about travel and having fun and being lighter and bringing light. It's in their house of commitment. So if you travel around Thanksgiving of this coming year, that would really encourage you to have a little bit more lightness and freedom and fun-loving energy. And then you're back down to the grindstone at the beginning of December, doing more working towards career energy, and ending the year with a new job or some freedom around your own business, because Aquarius, Venus at the end of the year. So that's a nutshell of what your year is going to be about. As I was writing this, I put March 7th, of course, is a breaking free when Uranus goes into Taurus. And I was writing that and I heard Let It Go playing on my Pandora. And it said at that point I was writing it, I'm never going back. The past is in the past. Let it go. So that's part of your story for this year, is to let it go and to grow new things and moving on to bigger and better things. So let's see what we have for Gemini. So Gemini this year comes in with all of the Capricorn energy in your house of commitment and the 8th house of death and rebirth. So that is a story around the elderly. It can be transitioning of the elderly. It means that there is a connection, a bond, and a sentimentality about it. You're finding out information about parents or authority figures that you're not necessarily happy with, and that's been a cycle that's been going on for you also since 2007. And it rules joint finances, it rules legacies and inheritances and law. So all of those can be part of your year. Will be a stronger part of your year because for everyone, Capricorn is going to be the energy that kind of rules the year still. Saturn's there, Jupiter goes in at the end of the year. So for the next couple of years, Capricorn is getting highlighted. So I just realized I went past a break, but I'm not taking a break today because we just have way too much to talk about. So Capricorn is in conjunct to Gemini energy, which means it's 150 degrees apart, and it's an uncomfortable energy. Gemini, it likes freedom of thought, likes to talk, likes to be social, can go this way, then turn that way. So it is a split personality on some level. There's two different energies that come through Gemini, the twins, and Capricorn is very little and pragmatic. It wants you to settle down and be very staid and responsible and reliable. That's not a comfortable energy for Gemini. Gemini wants to be free to move about. It rules short distance travel. It rules communications, freedom of thought. And Capricorn is not letting you do that. And the sun in Capricorn at the beginning of the year, it happens every year. Every January 1st is a Capricorn sun. And then Saturn are joined up on January 1st, like I said. So the Sun and Saturn are highlighting the structure of your commitments. What are you going to commit to this year? And again, with Uranus going into your 12th house this year, it is about growing emotional life because Capricorn's in your 8th house. It is a Scorpio energy. It's a water energy house. And Uranus, which is an air planet, going into your 12th house of emotional energy. Gemini, you're going to get hit pretty strong this year with endings and sentimentality, and you're going to have shifts that are setting you up for the coming Uranus in Gemini, which, well, that's about 7 years away, but really what's going to hit you closer is Pluto going into Aquarius, and that's an air energy that you can look forward to in the next couple of years, and that will trigger a lot more freedom for you. So I want to give this to you. Geminis are dealing with a lot of sadness through that Earth transition in your water houses, in the death and rebirth and the 12th house. But on the other side of it is lightness and freedom of thought. You're coming to an end of a cycle around restriction, and it is going to be taking off when Pluto goes into Aquarius. And Saturn will get there earlier than that, even in January of 2020, I believe. So Saturn transiting through Capricorn, joining Pluto, is really trying to shake up what you think of your ownership around responsibility over money and partnership. You are having challenges that are making you let go of the need to control those situations in your life. That's a very strong energy for you this year. Jupiter in your house of marriage and partnership, you can have some fun around travel, and there will be a lot of it this year. You're going to have more fun and freedom there, but when Jupiter gets into Capricorn at the end of the year, that's when the real work begins. So I would say as long as Jupiter is in Sagittarius for you this year, you have the opportunity to have some freedom and light, and that's a really good thing for you. That's where you can channel more fun-loving energy and not be so serious that all that Capricorn is triggering for you. And so, yeah, do the travel, do playfulness, get out for walks, do bike rides, anything you can do to be in nature, get out with your partner, and do fun things. And wrapping up the energy in Aries with Uranus, it's going to go in to your 12th house, and that's when those senses of freedom and wanting to speak your truth around what you're sensing is going to come out, because it's going to get very clear. You have a tremendous channeling energy coming in with Uranus in your 12th house. That means that Spirit is talking to you very clearly, and it's wanting you to take tangible action in Taurus. So change your diet, change the kind of foods you eat, what it is you want to grow, and pay attention to that. Green seems to be really big for you this year with the Taurus energy and the Sagittarius energy. So it means getting green, getting clear, getting healthful, being in alignment with what you know is your truth, and letting go of some of the behaviors in your 8th house, which can be habitual and detrimental. So you want to give that up. So Jupiter squaring Pisces, Neptune, again, the January 13th, June 16th, which will probably be the more difficult one for you because that's close to your birthday. That review time of where it really settles in and you understand that this doesn't work for you and you have to make a change to move on in a career path, or even really what it is letting in spirit and the truth of spirit into your relationship, into your career, and into your sense of who you are. Let it flow. And so Jupiter squaring Neptune, there is a difficulty in marriage around bringing through your truth, bringing through your higher understanding of things, and you may face challenges with a partner over that side of yourself. And I can think of at least one, if not two, situations of people I know this is going to strongly affect. So just know that you are in a transitional, transformational time with spirituality and relationships. Okay, let me see if there's anything else I put down for that. So your voice is going to be heard in career. As Mercury crosses the sun this year, November 11th is going to be a very big time for you. Again, any Mercury transits are always really big for you. So the Mercury retrogrades this year, I haven't specifically looked at when those are, but let's see if I can find it real quick. I love my planner. It usually tells me, but I didn't particularly put that aside for this show, so I'm going to have to look. No, phenomenon. Okay, the eclipse is January 5th, solar eclipse at 15 Capricorn. I'm just adding this in real quick for the record. The lunar eclipse at 0 Leo, January 21st. July 2nd is a solar eclipse at 10 Cancer. July 16th is lunar eclipse at 24 Capricorn. And then December 26th is a solar eclipse at Capricorn. So Cancer and Capricorn with one Leo thrown in. Earth signs, Earth energy. The retrogrades are the middle of March for Mercury, the middle of July to the end of July, and also the beginning of November to the third week in November. I don't have the signs for those. Yeah, I'm still honestly getting used to my little planner for this year because I just got it last week. So anyway, pay attention to the Mercury retrogrades, and those are going to be the time of additional focus for Gemini and also Virgo. So Cancer, you are going into a cycle of marriage, work, and life purpose. You've kind of been there with the the Capricorn energy anyway for the last few years. Like I said, with Pluto and Capricorn, that's been triggering marriage for you, opposite sign. And then also Uranus in your house of career, and that's the Aries sector for you. And this is also, again, it's for the sun sign and also the rising sign, if it's your rising Cancer or your sun Cancer, which my mom is both. So this will also pertain to her. So career at the start of the year is going to be a huge focus with that Mars going into Aries at your midheaven. It means that you're going to get attention and you are going to be thrust out into the spotlight, which quite honestly for Cancer is not terribly comfortable. Cancers, I find, and probably Capricorn, they like to be behind the scenes along with Pisces and Virgo. They're the workers and the helpers of the zodiac. So having Mars at your midheaven Cancers is going to throw you into the spotlight and make you challenge some of those, I don't know, restrictions, those, what is the word? Introversions, I guess, introverted personality traits. It's going to really put you out there, and you're going to find that you're going to have more irritability around career situations. Mars in Aries is going to be an angering energy. It is. It strengthens our sense of irritability. So it gets our blood boiling, quite honestly, literally and figuratively. So watch out for headstrong attitudes and potentially even hurting your head, and blood issues, because Mars squares Capricorn. Of course, Mars is going to be squaring the Capricorn energy as it transits all the way through the sign in the first part of the year. So there will be a challenge to the status quo. That's Capricorn. There will be a challenge to your marriage, to how you see your role in marriage. And it has been going on, like I said, since 2007, but it really is the last 2 years of the culmination of the shift around Capricorn. You have Saturn, which is coming into alignment with Pluto at the end of the year and in the beginning of 2020. That's when they join up, Saturn and Pluto, and that will be a come to Jesus moment, for lack of a better word, for Cancers and Capricorns. Cancer risings, it falls in your house of marriage. Also, that's how I read the Cancer suns. So it will affect Cancer suns also there. You are at the end of a cycle, meaning there is physical transition and transformation going on. It could be a parent energy, could be a father figure, or husbands. There may be some health issues going on with them. Anyway, let's move on to something funner. So we have Neptune in your Sagittarius house, which means you're growing spiritually, you're challenging the old norms, and you know you have a very strong intuitive side, and you need to really develop that. That is what Neptune in Pisces wants to do in the 9th house. Uranus going into your house of money in career means you will get money from doing what you're supposed to be doing in this life. So I know a couple Cancers right now that are Cancer rising. One's a Cancer rising and one's a Cancer rising, and they're very much homebodies. So having Uranus go into the 11th house means that there is a desire to be more free of that homebody energy and be out in peer group energy, which isn't really, again, very comfortable necessarily. I know both people who are Cancer risings are pretty introverted and pretty antisocial. So there's going to be a stronger sense of getting out and connecting to people around even gardening, which would be a really awesome thing for the Cancers. Get into gardening because you've got a lot of potential and opportunity, especially as Uranus is moving into Taurus, but we're also moving into this whole energy around more healthful eating as a collective. The veganism is on the rise. So we're seeing that now, and being able to do more gardening and growing food for your own personal needs and is healthy and organic can be really wonderful for you. So we have Venus. Like I said, Venus is going to be going, I think I said she ends in Aquarius. So she's pretty fast through the signs, I think, this year. And I don't know. Hang on one second. Gosh, I really hope I read the right one for that. 2019. She does. She flies all the way around the zodiac and ends back in. Oh, I take it back. She ends in Scorpio. Okay, I thought she ended in Aquarius. She ends in Scorpio. So she's going all the way around the whole zodiac this year. And so basically, she goes in each sign for a month. She's going into Sagittarius for a month. She's at the end degrees at the beginning of the year, but she will be going, starting the first half of the year, she will be going into your work house and then into your marriage and partnership house. So Venus in Capricorn will be roughly March. And then that's going to really give you an understanding of where you want to go with some of the issues you've been dealing with in the marriage. And then if you're married, if not, you are coming into a cycle of creating a very strong connection to another person as a partner. And that can also mean that you create a career around it. So hold on one second. Sorry, I had a little tickle in my throat there. Anyway, yeah, bringing in that energy around the structure of partners, and creating a new endeavor with a partner could also be on your path. Let's see, is there anything else I wrote here that I wanted to say? The supermoon, oh yes, the moon. So Cancer is ruled by the moon, and of course the moon changes signs constantly. So when there are moon events, eclipses and supermoons, etc., that's what you need to be aware of throughout the year. And so February 19th is a supermoon in Virgo. The sign of Virgo inconjuncts the sign of, no, is it inconjunct? No, it's not. It's actually sextile. I'm sorry, my bad. Sextiles Cancer, and so that's a really strong time around meeting friends, and siblings will be connected to you. And supermoon, very big, meaning that we're really close to the moon in orbit. And so it's going to be huge on the horizon. Virgo is health issues, and it's also work issues and learning and growth and teaching. And for Cancers, it is siblings. So pay attention to that. And then also the eclipses, which I listed at the beginning of this. I think I listed them when I went into the sign of Cancer briefly. January 21st is an eclipse in Leo, which will be your house of money. So there will be some truth and energy coming out in that area. And pay attention to the show throughout the course of the year, because we'll talk about eclipses and the moon and all the transits and everything, and then you can get more information there. And also on my website, I'm doing more blogging. So if you want to check out some of those articles, I'll try and do more this year as well and give you more current information. I have a lot of blogging I want to do about dissecting charts for celebrities and things like that, because I think it really helps people to understand how to do charts. And, I have Venus and Leo, so celebrities are always fascinating to me. Anyway, speaking of celebrities, now we're going into Leo for the year. And Leo, the focus is work and career. Is going through your work and health house, which is the 6th house. It can mean that you have to pay attention to your bones, your skeleton, arthritis, also structure, authority, rules. There are shifts that are going on around the workplace, the work environment, and also health this year. Let's see, are you focusing on yourself or others? Virgo house is about helping others. I can tell you my father is a Leo, and all this Capricorn in his house of work and health, he's got a ton of Virgo, and he's always of service. He wants to be of service. And so that is kind of a second nature to you, but also with all these planets of Capricorn going through there, you're having to understand what is yours and what is someone else's. And I can tell you, I still to this day at 54 years old, I'm having to tell my dad, I'm 54 years old, I understand, I can do it. So it really is the message to let others take care of their lives. Let others take care of things unless you're asked to do it. And of course, there is a strong drive to be of service and to help people. Of course, Capricorn wants to be the responsible one. They are the authority, and my dad was in his career life. But it's also a time to let others take ownership for their things and ownership for their lives. So in the workplace, Leos who are not retired, you have to allow others in the workplace to take some ownership, because number one, you're killing yourself always trying to do everything for everybody. And number two, they will grow and learn and take ownership if you back off. So it will help ease you out of all that intensity of always having to be the one who's responsible. So your transition will be in the career. And you could potentially go from working for someone else to working for yourself. That Uranus, again, is moving into Taurus, which rules money. It rules growth, and it's in your house of career. And it wants to be autonomous. It wants to be independent. And that can be a consultant. It can mean you start your own business. And for some of you, it may mean retirement. But it is about independence in career. And that's coming this year. We've got a strong energy around trusting yourself. Uranus at your midheaven can also bring attention to you in your business, which is really helpful. Trust yourself in your ability to bring money and to bring work in. And again, you're wrapping up old stories around how things have to be, how the structure of things are, and what is your path as a man, and what you are going to be doing to transition into a more receptive energy in career, and not so much. It is more about owning who you are and your feminine nature, but also taking the feminine nature and the receptive energy and the intuitive energy and infusing that into your career path in an independent way. So you are able to bring power with the feminine. So that's coming in. And then, again, you're a fire sign, so you're going to feel this square with Sagittarius and Neptune more strongly. So the Jupiter energy, Jupiter and Sagittarius, and that falls in your house of children. So there is a strong connection to children. I know I think about my dad and my daughter have a really strong connection. And my daughter's graduating this year and going off to college, so that's probably going to be something that will be difficult for him at the beginning of the year. And then Neptune is in the house of commitment. So the square going on in your charts is between children and commitment in partnership. So there will be probably friction with your partner and around money given. I'm thinking my father, like grandchildren, like paying for things for grandkids, and that doesn't help us financially, et cetera, that kind of thing. But the strong parts are around creative freedom and connectedness and commitment to someone else. And are you committed to your own creativity? Neptune in Pisces in the 8th house is about creativity, and Leo is the sign of creativity and children. So your year is around partnership, around creativity and owning your creative nature and your playfulness, and then also letting go of some of the responsibilities for other people to take care of, and growing something new. Virgo, final sign. I'm going into Virgo today. Focus, children, creative work, and partnerships. So it's kind of like Leo too, but let me see, I'm just going to close out this chart and bring up the Virgo chart so I can focus on that. All the Capricorn is around children. It's around, and this is for me as well. I have a ton of Virgo, so it really speaks to me. And it's funny reading, a lot of astrologers like, I can't read myself. Well, I can read myself if I detach and just read the signs. So I'll have to listen to this again, and then I can hear what is in store for me for this year. But Virgo rising, Capricorn has all the Pluto, Saturn, Sun energy in your 5th house, and that is around children. You've been really taking ownership for things that they need to be taking ownership for. And so it is a time of transitioning into releasing the sense that you have to save the world, you have to save everybody from themselves. And it relates to children, it relates to romance. So if you're a romantic partner who always takes ownership of everything going on in the partnership and the other person doesn't, you've been going through this cycle of renovating that out of your life and getting rid of it, that you have to allow. And the Taurus-Uranus energy coming in is going to really give you a stronger sense of freedom as it moves into your 9th house this year. So you're going to have much more sense of freedom after March. And then, I'm sorry, I'm having a little technical issue here. So Uranus moving into your 9th house is about opening up to what's coming in for you on education. It can mean you're learning. It can also mean you're teaching. And you're growing something that will ultimately become more of your life path. And having Gemini at your midheaven means that you do have strong teacher energy in your chart, and Uranus into Taurus in the 9th house is triggering some educational energy and freedom around teaching. Taurus can be beauty, can be makeup, it can be retail, it can be, money. You can teach any of those avenues or learn. And also painting. Artists are also ruled by Taurus because she is ruled by Venus, the planet of beauty and aesthetics. So anything around aesthetics or money or love lots of room for growth and independence around that, and also a strong potential to earn money by moving to another country or going far away to another foreign place to you, somewhere long distance. You've got Mars going into your eighth house, of commitment. And that means that you're going to be attractive to men, whether you're a man or a woman. You're going to be attractive to men because it is a sign of commitment. So there's a strong trigger around sex appeal. And Neptune in your house of commitment, you're having a challenge to what the home life is versus what you want in a partnership or in love. And being a Virgo who is single, this may mean that you have to address some challenges from where you are with your home situation and where you want to go in love, and that you're getting the challenge. Again, I have a daughter who's graduating. She has a bunch of late degree Sagittarius energy. So there could be children going off to college. It could mean a difficulty between a partner around how you parent children. So it's basically the house of partners in marriage versus the house of home and family, with the Jupiter squaring Neptune 3 times this year. So again, those dates are January 13th, June 16th, and September 21st. Those are particularly poignant, stressful dates for children and commitment to a partner or desire to create the kind of love situation you would like, or a partner situation. I've got a couple personal business partnership situations that I'm looking at this going, okay, there may be some challenges with that for me. But having all this energy in the chart right now is mostly in the right half of the chart, which is both personal and transpersonal, meaning you have a strong hit to home life, children, and work. And right now, work is not even triggered at all. That's just the lower quadrant. And then you've got marriage, partnership, commitment, and then Uranus moves into your ninth house, which is the last of the right half of the zodiac. So it's all that half moving from personal issues into career, life, spotlight issues. And so really your year is going to focus around family, commitment, love, transition, transformation, and then moving into some educational energy, learning and growing and teaching. And it has to do with releasing children and growing something creative, releasing need to control children specifically and what happens with them, and then moving into more personal growth around relationships and partnership and growing something new in a marriage or a partnership. So that's kind of a lovely energy. Venus for you is going into Scorpio, it is at end degrees of Scorpio with the new year. So it's wrapping up some intense communication energy, some deep psychological stuff, maybe around family and siblings, and then moving on to some transformative travel and growth in the home energy. It could also potentially mean a move, long distance move in the year. Okay, that is the first 6 signs of the zodiac, and I want to thank you for sharing this with me, and thank you for sharing 2018 with me. It's been an interesting technological year. I look back on the podcast, and definitely we had our issues, but now it is getting a little bit more evened out. So just again, pay attention to those retrogrades of technological signs, which are Mercury and Uranus, and also when they shift into new signs. And I will keep you up on that week to week on the podcast. If you would like a reading for your personal year coming up, you can get me at angeliczodiac.com. I'm on Facebook. There is a Book Now button on Facebook. There's a Book Now button I just put up on Instagram. And so I'm looking forward to talking with you about what's going on in your year. And I wish you the best for the new year. Be safe. It's going to be a wild ride at the beginning, but I think it will settle down and calm down a bit towards the end of the year. So that's kind of the way it was this year, I think, too. But it's starting to ramp up again with that Mars and Aries energy coming in. So take it easy. No emergencies on New Year's. I'm going to keep a good thought. Mars in Aries, I'm going to hold my breath. So anyway, we'll see you again on the next podcast, which is going to be about Libra through Pisces, and we'll see what's in store for them. Thanks so much for sticking with me, and we'll see you again in about a week. Take care. Thanks for stopping by AstroEnergy this week. If you would like to get a hold of Shelley Overton, you can get her at astrologerangel.com, on Facebook at AstroEnergy or Astrologer Angel. The music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com with additional music by Ironwood Rain. Check them out on the net at ironwoodrain.com. To subscribe, please click the picture of Shelley on the right or the red button below.